Hello, this is Dominic from the Jack and Dom Radio Show, a weekly sports radio program, and although we broadcast on professional hardware, we do record our show mostly on my laptop, and sometimes I don't press record right when we start. Some shows will start right in the middle of a topic. Regardless, this show is a work of love and passion for sports with raw and transparent opinions between the two of us. So I hope you all enjoy. The Jack and Dom Radio Show. Jack, how are you doing today?
I've been better, but we're close to the end of the semester, and that's always exciting, right? We're in the home stretch.
Yes, we are. A lot of things to talk about today. Just to remind everyone, the opinions said on the show do not represent the opinions of this radio station or the university. And if you so choose, you're able to get the recording of the show where you find podcasts on Amazon, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And also we're on social media. So if you choose, you can currently find us on Twitter and Facebook. Just look up the Jack and Dom Radio Show. If there are any topics you'd like to talk about or respond to the things we are saying, we will definitely be keen to seeing that. Anyway, good evening, everyone. Just to remind everyone, the Intramural All-Star Game is going to be this Friday in Houghton at 7 p.m. local time. So it's something that I'm very, very excited about. The Intramural Finals is Tuesday, is tomorrow. Tuesday is tomorrow. I think that game's at 9 p.m. Here. So that'll be pretty excited if you want to come see that. It's in the PEEF practice gym, which is right next to the Vendiment for anyone who's curious. Did you go to the football game, the spring game?
I had zero interest in the spring game, and let me tell you why.
All right, go right ahead.
You're going to talk about, I'm sure, that we won 20-9 and that the offense actually did something. To which I would counter with, since scrimmage games are set up in a way where it's not a real game and it's basically like you play out a bunch of scenarios. So you can ball at the 45-yard line.
Yes.
Or ball your own 5. You pick arbitrary, this is what we're going to start with ball, and this is what we're going to do, yada, yada, yada. You have an overtime drill and stuff like that. So it's not a real game. And a lot of times in scrimmages, too, it's not always the first team that's playing, right? You get guys rotating in and out. You try to see, spring game, a lot of the times is the way for you to really figure out who your starter is going to be at the end of the year. I've watched a few Michigan spring games, and obviously NMU's spring game, especially being against another team in Duluth, is very different. But a lot of it is about trying out new things, figuring out who's going to start, and a lot less of it is a concrete game plan like you would use in a real game. So am I happy we won? Yes, but I'm also going to caution people because scrimmage games and spring games are so different than fall football games. You can have some cautious optimism if you want. I'm not saying don't be a little optimistic that we did something against a team. But at the same time, do I think this is necessarily going to stick this way in the fall? No, I don't.
Okay. I think that's fair. I was there because I had my film camera, my film SLR camera. And so I wanted to take some film shots, film action shots of the game. I was very, very excited. There were those scenarios. A lot of them were start at the 40-yard line, and then, you have a certain amount of plays. I think he had 12 plays to get to the end zone, and Minnesota never reached the end zone. They did kick 3 field goals. And I was right at the end zone where they scored the Northern scored the last touchdown. So I got up really close to all the players when they all did their touchdown celebration. So I thought that was really cool. I do not know how the pictures turned out because that's just how film works. I did get them sent out to a lab today, somewhere in New York. To get them developed so then I can get my film negatives back. Because apparently, if you go to Walgreens or Walmart, they will not return your negatives.
Interesting.
So I had to use a third party for that. That being said, I am I want to take this situation in a completely different approach, because you said you weren't there because of just how the dynamics are of a spring game and stuff like that. They still ran their offense mainly the way that they did all in the last 2 years, with mainly the triple option, a very conservative triple option type of way, and it kind of worked for him a lot better than it usually did. Not a lot of passing, a lot of option run plays, and it actually worked out for him, at least somewhat this time. And I don't know what words to use necessarily, because I guess just personally I disagree with their style of offense.
Me too.
It's
archaic.
I find it offensive, not to the individual players, but just to the strategy at hand, because it's so old school and outdated that the fact that they got it to work for Saturday's game.
20 points it's okay.
For Saturday's game, though, it's like, I don't know. To me, it feels like you got the correct answer in a math question by using the wrong formula. That's what it feels like.
I think it's more like if it's like a question, like if you've seen those tests where like it's on Instagram and they'll show like an elementary schooler's test, right? And they'll show a picture of something and
it's wrong, and there's
but it's technically right if you look at it a certain way, right? So like if I was to put a picture of an apple and let's say an orange, and you said, oh, it's a circle.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right, it's circle, but that's not what I was looking for, right? Your answer is wrong. I wanted an orange.
Yeah.
AKA, you did something, but I'm still not impressed.
And as you probably know, for anyone who's listened to this show, I prefer, at least personally, if I was the offensive coordinator, I would utilize a West Coast offense.
It doesn't have to be a West Coast offense. Just change it up. Triple option has not worked the last 2 years, and it really hasn't ever worked unless you're Army for the last
Army, Navy, Air Force,
years.
yeah.
So, maybe not what you want to emulate. However, in Michigan sports news, we had Western Michigan University win the Frozen Four title for NCAA hockey. Super impressive for them. Their first ever, I believe, against Boston University. And let me tell you a big reason why.
Go ahead.
Let's see if you can guess it first. They give you a hint. It actually had to do with NMU.
I'm assuming there are a few transfer players from
Correct.
NMU to
So
Western.
NMU got a star goalie as a recruit under Grant, and he left and went to Western. And he kind of was a platoon goalie there, but he played lights out in the national championship and throughout the tournament, and was a big reason why they won it all. So NMU may be nowhere close to a tournament, but a guy who almost played at NMU, was committed to NMU, did something great over at Western. And shows you, I guess, as an NMU hockey fan, what could have been. So I guess a little bit bittersweet. I'm still really proud of Western. I'm really happy they won. Like, I always like seeing, other than Michigan State, other Michigan teams winning things. Like, that's all great. Well, and Michigan Tech. We don't want them winning. But anybody else, I like seeing them win, right? But I think it's unfortunate that Captain Sukinski isn't on our team. However, Western had a really, really strong regular season, and then plateaued that into a 1 seed and did.
I wish Michigan State won it all, because they were number one in the country
hilarious. You guys getting eliminated in the first round, but, by one of the worst teams in the tournament. But certainly exciting for Western Michigan and their fans. Something to build off of.
In the semifinal, I think Western beat Denver.
Correct.
I think. And do you know who Denver lost to partway through the season?
State?
No, I don't know.
Who?
They lost to an ACHA club team.
Dang. I think what's interesting too is
Las Vegas. The Las Vegas Rebels.
Interesting.
UNLV doesn't have a varsity team yet. They only have a club team.
Well, it's going to be scary when they do that.
And they beat Denver.
Interesting. I will say too, the CCHA representative Mankato was the closest team to beating Western Michigan in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine had they been drawn against anybody else, say, for example, Michigan State, we might have seen a CCHA tournament win for the first time in recent memory, at least. I'm sure they happened not too long ago. But I didn't watch any of the Frozen Four. Definitely interesting tournament. Certainly fun to watch Western Michigan going all the way. And it's satisfying for me as a Michigan fan when Ohio State and Michigan State both lose in the first round. And so good stuff there. But you have some information about what happened with Ohio State.
Okay, yes. So it is tradition, at least every year. I think they did skip COVID, and I think they did skip.
It's been almost every year. We'll put it that.
Almost every year, there are probably without exceptions. Whoever wins the NFL Super Bowl or the college football,
Right.
National champion, things like that,
yeah.
NBA, they get to go to the White House. They take some photos. They talk, for a few minutes, and they have a dinner. I think a few years ago there was a famous scene when Clemson went to the White House and there was just McDonald's food everywhere. I would have enjoyed it because I like McDonald's, especially the fish fillets.
That's interesting.
But what happened was JD Vance, the vice president, was trying to move the national championship trophy, like shuffle around the table that it was on, and broke it.
Which was really funny, but
the base and the shiny part broke off. And yeah, I just thought that was funny. Everyone had a good laugh at that.
First off, time to get a new company to make the national championship trophy. But I think it's always fun to celebrate goofy moments in sports.
Yep.
So, okay, next
it's
up,
just something that came up on my social media feed. Apparently, this was very recent.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got a couple, I guess, kind of debates we're going to have coming up. So, related to PGA, no cell phones allowed. And you're asking, should other major sporting events have such a policy?
Yeah, because the PGA Masters was recently, by the way, Northern Irish golfer Rory McIlroy won
McIlroy won
wow.
Masters, one of the favorites.
I knew I was going to mispronounce that.
Obviously, the Masters is a big deal in the golf community.
Yes.
McIlroy, a legend there.
This is the one where you win the green suit.
Right, the green jacket.
The green jacket.
And certainly exciting for McIlroy to win it again. He's one of the best golfers in the world. Certainly well-deserving. Dave Chambeau and a couple other guys were up there towards the end, but McIlroy pulls away and wins that one.
Now, I was watching the Mike Valeni show, and they were talking about this. So I wanted to. Now you are allowed to bring cameras, so your DSLR, your point and shoot camera, things like that. But when you sign in, when you initially sign in to go to the Masters, you have to drop off your phone. You have to drop your phone off. You can't have it on you when you enter, and so. I think a good discussion question, especially for large professional events, should the NBA, NFL, MLS, other, NHL sports, should they ban cell phones?
My answer there is absolutely.
Absolutely not?
Resounding no.
Okay.
Let me paint a picture for you. Family emergency.
Okay, so here are my rebuttal for that. So if you are expecting a call,
but you
while
can't.
you're there, here's what you do. You pay $20 more, or you pay some money more, and if someone's trying to get a hold of you, someone will come to you and say, "Hey, you see someone's on hold for you.
No,
come with me, and we'll."
Okay, what if there's more than one person calling? What if it's an unexpected accident?
Very rare.
Like what if someone gets into a car crash and dies? I was just expecting them to die.
Then if that's something that you're really worried about, then
what if
don't go. Don't go to an event.
Kids that might need something, or
have someone
I
come to you and say, "Hey, so and so is giving you a call. You wanna take it?"
I don't like it because if you want people off cell phones that bad, you wouldn't be going to the Masters to be on your cell phones. I don't see why that's an issue. I don't get it. I can understand, like, for the beauty of the game, for people to watch it live and all that stuff, like, okay, fine. But I really don't understand it, especially for emergency situations and other things. To me, I think it's unnecessary. I don't think it disrupts the sport as much as people say. So I know you seem to be anti-cell phone, but despite being normally anti-cell phone in normal situations, like especially with little kids and stuff, I think in this situation, cell phones play an important role.
I want you to look at this picture. This picture.
Yes,
here,
I know the
LeBron James record shot. What is, other than like one guy, this one older guy? We know his name. I don't know who his name is, but we know who he is. Everybody else has their phone,
and that's their prerogative. That's what they want to do.
This ruins the moment.
I don't think it does.
How does it not ruin the moment?
You don't want to be able to say I was there and capture it live? Now, my opinion, I would just watch it live.
You know there are people that are hired to do this.
No, I'm aware.
Right?
But you not want your own video that you took on your own phone?
Yeah, but you can go back home on your computer and watch the replay. And like,
right, but that's not the same.
And a full production with full production value.
But you can say I was here and then show a picture of LeBron James scoring and you being there. I understand that.
Is it that valuable though?
Yeah, I think so. Now, I would watch it personally. I'd watch it on my own. So I'm
me just getting older.
No, I would personally watch it live. I'm just advocating for other people. I can see why they want to do it. I don't take videos of the moments as they're happening. I do take a lot of pictures of sporting events. Like, don't get me wrong. I do take a lot of pictures and stuff. But I don't do it as records are being broken or as important moments are happening. I do it during the middle of the action, as the puck is being shot or whatever, nothing special happening. But I do think it allows fans to experience the game in the way that they choose. It's not the way that I would choose, but I do think it is a part of the sport, whether we like it or not, and it's something that we have to do. And I think the Masters are cool.
Yeah, because you, like I said, you're allowed to bring cameras.
Right.
Point shoot, cool disposable idea, if you still do that.
Especially for the Masters where everything is old-fashioned, just the vibes are old-fashioned, the dress, sure, I get it. I just don't think a no-tolerance policy is in order.
It works for them. It works for golf.
No, I don't think golf should have it either. It works better, though, because of the way golf is.
Do you think the reason why they implemented that rule is not because of the pictures, taking the pictures of video, because the ringer? It would go off right at the moment where you're supposed to be quiet. A ringer goes off and it throws everything off.
Movie theaters and other places do the silence your phone things. I don't think so. You can always do a reshot.
Not everyone follows.
Well, I'm aware. If you have to do a reshot in golf, you can. It's an incredible inconvenience. It's really frustrating. But if the ringer doesn't,
also what happens in movie theaters?
Yeah.
Chicken jockey, and
I did see that movie this weekend.
How was it? Just.
It was great.
Okay, it was great. All right.
If you like goofy and silly and stupid movies.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet, but I'll take my time.
But Minecraft is my review.
Okay.
Okay, back to it. I think I'm going to move on just in the sense that there are other more important things to talk about. But I do
more
think,
important thing.
I do think the Masters is valid for doing it. I don't know if I agree with it. But I certainly think, especially for older sporting events and especially for events like golf where there's not as much to take pictures of because, he hits the ball. What are you going to do? Record the ball as it travels 400 yards? Yeah, good luck with getting a video of that.
That's why there are people hired to do that. I love the newer technology where they implemented where when the guy hits the ball, you see the streak.
Right, it's really cool.
I like that. I really like that.
I think that's partially technology within the ball itself. I believe. I could be wrong. I think they have smart balls now that kind of track movement. I could be wrong. But I have heard the concept at the very least considered. But I do think golf is kind of a different sport. It's slower paced. The action happens when you hit the ball, and then there's no more action as the ball flies. So you see them hit it. It disappears, it hits the ground, you see it again. Okay. And then you have to walk 400 yards, which takes longer than the actual hit. I haven't played golf in a very long time. When I did, I liked playing golf. Nothing against golf, but it's much easier for a slow-paced sport where there's less going on in the moment versus, LeBron James gets a steal and dunks it. is a split second,
Yes.
split moment thing, or you got a goal, like that just happens, right? Baseball, you hit a home run, right? It happens quick, So I think like that they're valid for that policy. I just think it wouldn't work as well in other sports.
So going on to the next topic, there's a YouTube channel called Jubilee, and one of the things that they like doing, they mainly did it for political people, but now they did it with a sports analyst,
which is really fun.
So what it's called, they have a series called Surrounded, and what it is it's one person that has a particular opinion or particular set of opinions with 25 other people with generally the opposite opinion or opposite approach to things. Mainly it's been for political stuff. They've gotten politicians and radio show hosts and internet people.
For sure.
But what they did recently was Skip Bayless of ESPN. Right? Wait, is he still with ESPN? Or no, he does his own thing now.
Right. But I do. Okay.
But yeah, so there were like 25 people against Skip Bayless and made 4 major claims. And this whole thing was like, I think like over an hour.
Okay, but these 4 claims are the claims
he made 4 claims
that all 25 people disagree with, right?
Most of them disagree. Most would disagree.
So like 80-90% disagree.
And well, I'm not sure.
Just like an arbitrary number.
They don't.
He's saying like 50-50, 75-25.
The people that are in the 25, those 25 people don't exactly know what his claims are going to be before the show begins.
Well, okay. I see. Okay.
And so claim number is, so his first claim is that Magic Johnson is the greatest Laker of all time.
Now, did you watch this segment?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did he give context as to what he means by this, or just Magic is the greatest Laker of all time, and then he said nothing else?
Well, people would then rush to the other chair.
Okay, that's fine.
And it would try to explain or whatever. But
so that's understandable. What I want to know though is, based on like the reactions that he had and his counters and whatnot and his persuasion, is it about team success? Is it about leadership? Or is it like you on your own as your own individual player are the best? You as an individual are the best? Or you are the most successful?
He said that Magic, out of everyone else, transformed the game of basketball, transformed
for the Lakers, or transformed it.
Well, gotta let me finish. Yes, yeah, to both to the game of basketball as well as transforming the program of the Lakers program more than anyone else. He was a better leader. Because I know Kareem was on the team a few years before Magic arrived, but when Magic arrived, he elevated the team more than any other program. Faced a lot of really tough opponents, especially in the Western Conference. At that time, the late 70s, 80s, it was led by the Western Conference.
Okay, let me give you a take on this.
A lot of opposing people argued Kobe is the best Laker.
Oh, stop it.
A lot of they go to Skip and be like, no, Kobe's the greatest Laker of all time. They have trophies of him, or they have statues of him. They would say, because of the amount of championships, record, different records, clutch player.
No.
All right, go right ahead.
Is it Stephen A. Smith that goes like, stop on his show? Is that him?
No.
Who does that? I know somebody does that. Where he's like, stop it now, laugh at the tank. I think it's Stephen A. Anyway.
Well, Stephen A. wasn't.
No, I know, not on this show. Although I think that would have been entertaining too.
Yes, it would.
But okay. Kobe is really heavy recency bias. Extremely heavy recency bias.
Skip Bayless made that argument. He mentioned.
I would argue a couple things. Number one, I think in this era of the NBA, it is.
Who is the greatest Laker of all time? Is it? Would you argue it was Magic?
Okay, when we come on these other takes, I'm going to disagree with Skip. Here, I actually agree with Skip.
Okay.
I think you could make an argument for Kareem.
Okay.
I really don't think Kobe is any better than third. Kareem is interesting because Kareem was good before the Lakers, played for the Bucks, won the Bucks a championship, I believe.
Yes.
Then came to the Lakers later in his career. And they, I think, had some success under him, but they were kind of missing some pieces. Magic Johnson, despite the fact that him and Kareem didn't get along, especially early on, there's a great book that I'm forgetting the name of. It's now a TV show on HBO.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that. I'm gonna watch that
the
TV
Showtime
show.
Lakers. I would read the book too if you are a reader. It's
Isn't it
easy
Magic
read.
Johnson, also known as Mr. Showtime? I think that was the book.
Yes. What I would say is the Magic Bird rivalry saved the NBA.
Oh, yes, it did.
It saved the NBA.
It did.
Everybody in the NBA was on drugs. Their image was tarnished. I'm not kidding. They were.
Yeah.
There
was
a real
real.
drug problem in the NBA. The image of the NBA was poor. Salaries were not up there. Revenues were not up there. You had owners that just were not properly managing the basketball teams. The NBA was like slagging behind every other major league, except for I don't think MLS was around at the time, but I could be wrong. I
No,
think it
they
was.
started in 91.
That's what I thought.
or 93
okay.
or
So
something.
they're slagging behind.
But there was a
baseball.
professional soccer league
Right.
at the time, but they were much smaller.
They're slagging behind hockey.
Yes.
I think this is somewhere around the time where like Pele and some other guys came to soccer. So
Yes,
even
for in
soccer
America,
was
yeah.
starting to catch up to NBA a little bit.
Yes.
But then you got the Magic Larry rivalry, and that changed everything. So I think you can talk about his impact on the game
Mhm.
in terms of like how he got the game to be popular again. His skill at the time, only Bird could match it, right? His winning for the Lakers. They won a ton of titles. So you want to talk about Kobe's titles? We can talk about Magic's titles.
How many titles did Bird win? Like 3 times?
Bird won several times. Yeah, I think it was 3
and then
or 4.
and then I
Magic,
think
I think
Magic
also
also
got
got
4.
3 or okay.
But I think Kobe is recency bias, and I think Kareem, while good, the team did not take its next steps until Magic Johnson came in there and took the reins.
Yes.
Magic was a special player. So I agree with him. I think Magic is the greatest Laker of all time. Now, you take into total careers, okay? Like, you're not just including their time on the Lakers, you're including their time on every other team.
Mm-hmm.
Then you could say, okay, LeBron, you could say Kareem, right? Because they had success in other teams. But if you're talking about just their impact on the Lakers and the fact that Magic then went into management for the Lakers after his career, it's got to be
He
Magic.
did come back to play a year in 95.
Yeah,
Most people don't know that. He did actually okay.
right. But I think I agree with Skip here.
So I can tell people I was alive when Magic Johnson was still playing basketball,
funny.
but I was only like a month or 2 overlap.
Here's my question to you. Do you agree with Skip on this one? At the very least, as far as Skip goes, Skip is known for having absurd takes. Can we agree that this take is at least a fair take?
I get why Magic, I get the Magic argument. I also would say that there is an argument to be made for Kobe. And I'm not the biggest Kobe Bryant fan, but I understand some of the people that would say that no, Kobe
I just
Bryant is
think it
the
was a
greatest
different
league.
era you had.
Someone argued that's the logo. The who's
Oh,
the
no one knows. Anyway,
no. What's his name? What's
That's
his name?
funny, but no. Okay, what I would say about that is
Jerry West. Someone argued Jerry West was the
he
greatest
has
Laker.
great management. He wasn't great as a Laker.
Yeah.
What I would say is, Magic had probably played in the era of the toughest competition of all time. I would argue.
Mhm.
Okay, Kareem played against plumbers and farmers. Okay, well, no. The beginning, I should say, his first couple years was plumbers and farmers.
Yeah.
Then the NBA got some legitimacy and it got better. Right? Same thing with like Wilt Chamberlain, for example. Same deal. Plumbers and farmers, right?
Yeah.
Like the NBA didn't.
He was
really-
a true athlete amongst.
But the NBA really didn't truly get legitimized until the mid-late 70s when you really started getting that influx of talent.
Now, before we get to claim 2, for anyone who is just joining us, this is WUPX 91.5 FM HD1 Marquette. This is the Jack and Dom Radio Show talking about some interesting claims that Skip Bayless made in a Jubilee video just the other day. Now, claim number 2, now this is word for word here. Michael Jordan is the GOAT and laughably better than LeBron James.
Okay, is he the GOAT? Absolutely. He's my undisputed GOAT, no question. Laughably better? Come on. Come on.
I'm with you on that. I would if I took out the word laughably,
Then definitely.
then I would be 100% with Skip.
Skip is trying to get drama here, which Skip is extremely
Which he
good at.
did.
And of
He
course
did. A lot of people would say, well, LeBron, has more records, longevity.
LeBron, people discount the fact that other than in Cleveland, when you look at Miami and you look at LA, LeBron had supporting casts that were just as good as Michael Jordan. Now,
Yeah.
him winning a title with the Cavs was incredible.
Yes,
but
it was.
even with the Cavs, you still had Kevin Love
Yeah, he's a
and
great player.
some other solid players. I'm forgetting there was one or two other star players on that team. Oh, Kyrie. So, I think MJ is still better, but laughably better. I don't think there's much to say here. Laughably better is just hilarious. Okay, claim 3.
Well, let's talk about LeBron James. Let's say someone comes up to you and says LeBron James, like let's say more than half of the varsity basketball team, our
Sure.
basketball team,
Sure.
more than half of them say that LeBron James is the GOAT.
That doesn't change anything. It's all
But
arbitrary. It's different eras, different positions, different skill sets. I mean,
Mhm.
that's like comparing Tom Brady to Barry Sanders. Okay.
Well, LeBron James did play, at least at one point in his career, play all 5 positions. Well, or is that Magic?
No, stop.
Or is that Magic? Maybe Magic did that. I don't know.
LeBron never played guard. Okay.
Yeah, he did.
Not really.
Oh yeah, he has.
No.
He's played guard before.
No, he hasn't.
He might not be the best point guard,
He
but
has not played
he's
guard.
done it.
He's played like a guard. He's played in a positionless basketball, but he was never a shooting
He's
guard.
also the highest scoring player of all time.
Right. When you play as many years as he did,
That's
you
true.
have to account for the fact that Michael Jordan, in the middle of his prime, when his
Are we counting Michael Jordan's years with the Wizards?
No, but here's what I would.
I would, but he's still the GOAT.
Doesn't matter. Here's what I would consider though. I can't remember if it was mom or his dad that died. I can't. I think it was his dad.
It was his
that got
dad.
shot,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, his dad. His dad.
Okay, when his dad got shot, he left the NBA and went to go play baseball. Which, by the way, the reason I think Michael Jordan is the GOAT athlete of all time,
because he went
he was good in 2 sports. 2.
Well,
That's
he
incredibly
never
rare.
got. Did he go into the major leagues while playing baseball?
No,
I thought he was AAA the whole time.
yeah, but that's
He was on the
unbelievable.
verge. I think he was on the verge of being in the
He
majors.
would have been if he didn't go back to the Bulls. My point is, middle of your basketball career prime, you just say screw it and you go play baseball and you play well. He was a solid player.
Yeah.
That is impressive, and that makes him one of the many reasons why he's good. But
Yes.
I would say, to the argument that LeBron's stats are better, 2 things. One, LeBron had more longevity, and an era where we have better medical advancements, and that's much easier to do.
I know if we had the advancements back in the 80s, Bird would have played another 7 years.
So I think Michael Jordan would have too, although I think he was getting a little bit tired of the game.
Yeah.
But you got to remember, in 3 years of his prime, where they likely could have won 3 straight titles again and cemented themselves in, what would that be, 9 straight titles if he would have played those 3 years?
Additional 3 years.
The 3
Jordan?
years in
Are we talking
between
about
is
Jordan?
2 3-peats, yeah. Because did he have a 3-peat and another 3-peat, or was it like
He had
2
2
and a
3. He had 2 3-peats.
Right.
I
So
would argue
you would have had at
yeah.
least 7 titles, maybe 9.
If
I don't think that's much of a stretch.
if the Chicago Bulls stayed intact after the 98 season, how far do you think
1 more.
you think
So
if you
there's
think
2
Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman,
You would have got 1 more.
that super team, if they stayed together,
You would have got 1 more.
you got 1 more. What
would've
would
maybe
be
made
the roadblock? Do you think a prime Shaq and Kobe would have stopped them in
I think
2001,
age would have caught up to
2002?
them.
You think A would have been age?
Yeah, I think they would have had maybe a year or 2 left.
Okay.
I don't think they could have made it much farther. But again, that's the thing, is like with the medical advancement that we have now, it's very different. You have players playing into their 40s. Tom Brady, there's examples of this. You've got tight ends in the NFL playing to their 40s, offensive linemen playing till 38, 39, 40. Like, it's different. But if he would have played those 3 years, I think they would have had 9 titles in a row. Because no one would have stopped that prime Bulls team. Nobody. I'm sorry. It wasn't going to happen. Okay? So 9 titles in a row. LeBron doesn't go anywhere near that. Okay? You stay intact after 98. Now we're talking about potentially 10. 10 rings. Even if they slack a little bit, 7 at least, right? And he would have had 3 more seasons of probably MVP caliber play.
Yeah.
And this is getting into a much more hypothetical. I think no matter what, he would have left the NBA if his dad died. I don't think, like, if he knew LeBron was going to be better than him or, like, anything, he would have not left. But hypothetically, if that didn't happen and his dad lived, I think that would have changed a lot as well. LeBron never really had to. I would actually argue, too, like, LeBron, don't get me wrong, hard worker, faced adversity. Like, I'm not questioning his character.
Although, apparently, he's a big diva, according to Skip.
He is now, of course. Star players are. Michael Jordan is, too, now.
A little bit.
A lot.
I mean, he's retired, so.
Right, but
and he still makes money off of the Nike Jordan.
Right, but
Nike
he's
Yeah.
he's a diva now.
I guess.
So, but here's what I would say though: is where was I going with this? Okay, I don't know much about LeBron's upbringing, so I'm going to assume there was definitely some adversity there.
A little bit. I mean, he did go to a private school,
Right.
in
MJ
Kansas.
was the definition.
Oh, Akron. Excuse me, it was Akron.
MJ was the definition of adversity, right? Dad died early in life. Mom and dad, like, I think they were reasonably comfortable, but still, like, in a semi-dangerous part of town, right? Like, that's why his dad passed as he got shot, right? So he had to be the first one to the gym every day, the last one out. Like, his work ethic was unparalleled. I think LeBron had eons more natural talent than MJ. So if you want to say most talented basketball player ever, okay, I'll give you LeBron. But Michael Jordan was the hardest working basketball player ever, and I don't think you'll ever see anything like it again. And I think for that reason, and for the fact that he missed 3 of his prime seasons, which probably would have been 9 straight titles, and if the Bulls would have stayed together, you probably could have had 1 or 2 more. That, I think, makes him the GOAT. In an era where you had some real dominant teams, you had the Detroit Pistons and Isaiah Thomas.
Yep.
You had the ending years of Magic and the Lakers and Larry Bird, the Celtics.
Yep.
Kind of on a downturn, but they were still very much a threat. You had the Houston Rockets, the Phoenix Suns, and Charles Barkley. Like,
I'd also argue Michael Jordan's the GOAT because he had to get past Bird and
super
Magic.
teams. Yes, absolutely. LeBron had to beat Golden State, but Golden State was really only a thorn in his side for like 5 years. The Spurs were good, but the Heat were better. Like, there's a lot of reasons, but Michael Jordan, I think,
Okay.
I have a lot of additional respect for beyond him being a GOAT because of how he did it and where he came from. Okay, claim
All
3.
right, so claim 3. Patrick Mahomes is dramatically overrated.
Okay, again, he's got to stop with these adjectives because this is what's going to bait people. However,
And she
even with
did.
this adjective, I still agree. Word I'm not going to say on air, but it starts with a D.
Okay.
And ends with iding.
Okay.
I think Dom knows where I'm going. I don't want to say
It took me a minute to process that.
That's what happens with Mahomes.
What's
is
the
everyone hypes him up.
yeah.
Talks about him
Bandwagon. Just
like
say
he's a
bandwagon.
god.
Yeah,
Bandwagon, yeah, but the word I want to use is different. I just don't want to say it on it. It means something.
I get what you mean.
Hopefully the audience understands where I was going there without me having to say it on air. But what I would say is the amount of that you get from the commentators, from other players, like, they make him seem like he is already the greatest player of all time. When I would argue he's nowhere close.
No.
But they say that, though. They say he's the greatest. And they say once he finishes his career, he'll automatically be the greatest.
Someone made that argument to Skip, saying that if we just give it time, Patrick Mahomes will get
But stop that.
where I want him to be.
Right now, he's not even the best QB in the league, so stop.
Do I think Patrick Mahomes is a great player?
Of course.
Yes.
But I would
Do
argue
I think
now,
he should?
he shouldn't be in the same league as those guys. I'm sorry. No.
Okay.
Brady and Manning and others are eons above him.
Do you think like other aspects of the team is carrying Patrick Mahomes a bit
I think
to those championships?
I think Andy Reid sure helps, but I do think the man's really talented. I would argue, though, that right now, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, you can make the argument for Lamar, Joe Burrow.
Someone made the argument for Joe Burrow, except there are injuries.
Well, Joe Burrow, if he had a competent management team and a defense.
Good offensive line.
Right now, based on this season, there are better quarterbacks active right now. So I wouldn't even say I would say he's dramatically overrated in that regard. We'll see. if he comes back next year in a fury, goes out there, dominates in a Super Bowl like Jalen Hurts did, okay, my bad. Maybe I made a mistake. But as of right now, he's dramatically overrated, which leads me to another claim about being dramatically overrated.
So claim number 4, Bill Belichick is overrated. The Patriots dynasty was 80% Tom Brady.
Here's a simple answer to that. Okay. I know the argument's going to be, Tom Brady was great on the Bucs without it. So that's got to mean it's Tom Brady, right?
I think he argued a little more than that.
But that's a start. Okay. Here's my answer to this one. To be determined.
Bill Belichick retired, and he wasn't known as a great coach before Tom Brady, and he wasn't great after Tom Brady.
Well, that's why I say to be determined.
Okay.
He's at North Carolina right now as a head coach. Pretty mediocre football team. And it's in an arena where, historically, in my opinion, the only coach that has been able to be successful recently in the pros and college is Pete Carroll. I would argue no other coach has been able to truly make that transition a true success, right? Because Pete Carroll won a Super Bowl, should have won 2. We all know it.
Yep, I know what you're talking about.
Won a championship at USC, right? A lot of success there. So, if Belichick is able to, at his age, where he really can't relate to college kids, go to UNC, I'd say even win a conference title, but compete nationally, sure. But at the moment, I give it a TBD because you've got to see, you need more. You've seen Brady without Belichick, and you've seen
Belichick without Brady.
I need to see Belichick without Brady.
But we did though.
No, we did not.
We did with Max Jones.
Okay, but that doesn't.
And in a few years, then he eventually got fired.
Well, first off, he left.
He got fired.
He didn't fire.
He got fired.
He left. He resigned.
He almost got fired, but he resigned.
Here's my thing about that: is
it took
who's the best coach of all time in the modern era? In your opinion, Nick Saban.
For college, yeah.
Then give me a pro one if you want to go. The best football coach in the last 20 years.
Bill Belichick.
Okay, another guy, please. Anybody else? I don't care if it's pros, college, can be anybody.
I'll
do the last 20 years.
No, he was coach of Ohio State before he went to
Not Urban.
Yeah, Urban.
No,
Urban, he's
stop.
Good.
Okay, we'll do Nick Saban.
Nick Saban's good.
Nick Saban.
He's on there.
Okay, Nick Saban. Okay.
Mark D'Antonio.
If Nick Saban walked into that building of Patriots players with the roster they had, do you really think he would have done any better? That roster was pathetically bad. The next head coach went like 2-14 and got fired.
It would take a few years.
It would have taken a miracle, and it would have taken time, which the Patriots didn't want to give him because they thought he was washed. We'll see about that. But I would argue that is not indicative because he didn't have the chance to succeed. And I would also argue that his semi-okay success, he was a decent coach for the Patriots, not great, is also not indicative because you learn a lot when you work with the GOAT. And you learn a lot when you...
Who was the predecessor to Tom Brady? I forgot his name.
Drew Bledsoe,
yeah.
You learn a lot when you work in an organization like the Patriots. So I think now that they're both separated, Belichick has a decent job. Like UNC, a good coach can get you contention. Like you might get 10 wins or 9 wins. Like
would Tom Brady be considered the GOAT of football?
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's no argument.
Because he also has the most receiving touchdowns, most yards, most
right. He's the best in most categories.
Wins.
No argument there.
He has a bunch of records.
I would say you can't say Bill Belichick is overrated until you see what happens at UNC. What I think is going to happen is he's going to do okay, then go back to the pros.
I'm going to have to rewatch his...
But think about this, though. He's going to probably stay there for a year or two, get another NFL job, that's I think what he's waiting for. Then you can see, right?
Okay.
In a year or two, I'm trying to think of who's going to have a coaching vacancy. If Mike Tomlin finally retires.
Who's Pittsburgh, okay.
Or like, if San Francisco decides, okay, we've been mediocre for too long, bye-bye, Kyle Shanahan.
Mm-hmm.
I do truly think if Bill Belichick went into a winning environment, because don't get me wrong, there are plenty of coaches that go into winning environments and fail.
Yeah.
It's a common trend, okay? But
they were out so quick.
Right, but I think if Bill Belichick went into a decent environment, not the Browns, not the Bears, like someone good.
Or the Jets.
Not the Jets.
Well, Bill Belichick was a coach for the Jets for like a day.
Right.
What happened?
That's a story we can tell another time. It's a fun story. But
Okay.
what I would say is, if he goes back to the NFL and or does well, UNC will have your answer. If UNC is an epic failure and he has to retire from coaching, you'll have your answer. So, TBD. Want to get to a couple more things. We're going to have to speed run it,
Yes.
delay some stuff for next week. We're going to delay the Nico, I like to call him.
So you're saying he's in the transfer portal? Who's this?
It's
Who's
a much
Nico?
more
Who's this Nico
complicated,
guy?
But we're going to get back to it. It's a
Okay.
conversation that is going to take a while about
Okay.
the nature of NIL.
All right.
And I don't want to waste time on it. So next week, which I believe, crazily enough, might be is it really our last show?
Next week's our last show. I thought we had 2 more weeks.
Maybe I'm wrong. Hold
I was going to
No,
say
finals.
we can still do the show during finals.
on. Okay, maybe we'll do a special, I don't know, shortened segment or something fun during finals. We'll
Okay.
have to see how things go. But potentially probably not. Potentially our last segment. Maybe 2. So we'll cover that next week because it is a big discussion about the nature of the transfer portal. What I want to talk about, though, is the Pistons. Tripling their win total, making the playoffs, playing against a team, the Knicks, that they're 3-1 against this year. Am I crazy for thinking they are going to win a playoff series for the first time in my memory?
It depends.
Depends on what?
Depends on who you face.
The Knicks, who they are 3-1 against.
Then you're probably not crazy for thinking.
Okay, so I'm excited for Detroit basketball for the first time in a long time.
Me too.
So I think I'm
I
definitely going to watch that.
barely remember the 2004
Right, I was.
year.
I think I was still. I don't think I was born yet. I was
You
in
were
the
still
world, but
dust.
not born yet. Right.
You're
Well, I
still
wasn't dust. I was in the process of coming into existence.
Okay.
I don't want to potentially risk any words, but I may or may not be able to
okay.
use. Okay, but if you are interested and you choose to tune in, Pistons Game 1 will be Saturday, April 19th at 6 p.m. I will likely tune into that. So we'll see what the Pistons' fate will be in that series. I think it's probably going to be Pistons in 6 games, but we will find out. What I want to ask you is you can pull this up on your computer as we talk to the viewers. But with your limited knowledge and my limited but probably slightly more knowledge of the NBA, let's talk about just a brief, and we can come back to this at some point, or we can just do it for fun right now. I want to know for you. Oh, can you actually pick them, or is it just
No.
okay? So first up, we have the play-in tournament: Kings versus Mavericks. I'm actually going to pick the Mavericks.
Okay.
Okay. Golden State versus the Grizzlies. I'm going to pick Golden State, which means Golden State will be the 7th seed, and I'm going to have the Grizzlies as the 8th seed. Okay. So, given that,
Because the play-in tournaments haven't happened yet.
Correct.
There's
given
some
that,
parts of
you
this.
think it's reasonable for me to say 7 of the 8 seeds win?
I guess
Grizzlies?
so.
Okay, so OKC Grizzlies. I think it's the Thunder in 5.
Okay.
Agree? Disagree? Not much.
Not much. Just go right ahead.
All right, Nuggets. I'll also say 5.
Okay.
Lakers in 6.
Yep.
Rockets. I'm going to say in 7.
Okay.
I'm a little bit biased because I like the Warriors, but also Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler in playoff time. Jimmy Butler in the playoffs is an absolute stud.
Okay.
They call him playoff Jimmy Buckets for a reason. Okay. Then we've got,
I think the Warriors though could pull it off.
I'm saying Rockets in 7 for now. That's why I
Okay.
said 7. Okay. Play-in. Magic Hawks. I think Magic get the 7 seed, and I think the Bulls will actually get the 8 seed instead of the Hawks.
Okay.
With that information, I think the Cavaliers are going to sweep. The Bucks, I think, will win in 6 games over the Pacers. The Pistons, I think, will win in 6 games over the Knicks. And the Celtics, I think, will win in 5 over the Magic.
Okay.
So jumping back to the West, I think OKC is going to win in 7 over the Nuggets. And I think the Lakers are going to win in 6 over the Rockets.
Yes.
I then think the Thunder will win in
Ye-
6 over the Lakers.
Okay. Wait. You know what I think? I think the Lakers are going to make it all the way.
Of course you do. You've been talking about this all year.
Yeah.
Okay. Cavaliers against...
Come on, you got LeBron and Luca.
No. Cavaliers against the Bucks.
Super team,
No.
man.
Cavaliers against the Bucks.
Oh.
6 games. Cavaliers win. Pistons against... Oh, I made a mistake. Sorry. The Pistons, Cavs. Pistons against Cavs. I'm going to say Cavaliers in 6 games.
Okay.
I think the Pistons will put up a fight. Bucks, Celtics. I'm actually going to say Bucks in 7.
Okay.
And then I'm going to say Cavs over the Bucks in 5. I don't think that's.
I'd say the Lakers over the Cavs in 6.
So I'm going to say Cavaliers Thunder. I think it's going to be Thunder in 6 over the Cavs. Okay, so
Thunder won't
definitely a lot going on there in the NBA playoffs. I think certainly for the city of Detroit, it's exciting to see our team back in the playoffs, and I think this is probably our best chance in quite a while to really make a difference. I think.
Yeah.
So
I still think the Lakers are going to go all the way. Like, all the way.
you're.
And no,
you're
I'm not
putting-
putting money on it because I am done putting money on games.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because the last time I did it, I lost $500. Don't
Okay.
ask me.
So-
Don't ask me why. Don't ask me what it was. That I might have mentioned on the show before.
I'm sure you did. One
Good
thing.
thing the bet wasn't shave my head because my girlfriend was very upset.
Yeah.
So,
That was a tough one for sure. Okay, so I guess a lot of these other topics are either really long or not super important. So is there anything you want to close the show off with this week?
I believe there's 2 esports teams, our Overwatch team as well as our Rainbow Six Siege team got themselves to the national championship game for the respective division. I don't know when the games are, but I think if you follow them on Instagram, like
If
they
you so
do,
choose.
if you so choose, yeah, they are like they do update that stuff. And if they do win, we get to put more banners on our window that's upstairs relative to the radio station. So because we have one for our Rocket League team that won national championship last year. We might be able to put 2 more this year, so that'd be pretty amazing.
That's certainly exciting.
I'm still for anyone who kind of just to go back to our football program. I wanted to bring this up just a bit. If anyone there were some people on Twitter that were saying like, "Oh, this is a new hope," and stuff like that. I'm not gonna put money on it. I'm not gonna say that what happened in the spring game will
we don't know.
fully change
We
the
don't know.
trajectory of what I think, how I think the regular season is going to
And I
go.
don't think it will, but I think it's
We
certainly.
could probably still win against Roosevelt. I am not sure about any of the other teams, especially against St. Thomas. If we beat St. Thomas, hell throws over, and like
a meteor hit the earth.
I will buy a lottery ticket if we beat St. Thomas.
Once again, we don't encourage you to gamble or anything.
Exactly.
Like that,
That's just that. Like I
Dom's
said,
just mentioning how he has.
this is our opinion.
Previously.
This is our opinion.
Well,
And
we'll see.
I still do not like how they run the offense.
I still think we're gonna have a bad season. But to end on a high note, I'm really excited. I think for the first time in my life, for the trajectory of all 4 sports teams in Detroit. Right? The Red Wings need to either make a GM change or do something quickly, but I like the young players. They're developing talent. Pistons are developing talent back in the playoffs. The Tigers look great so far this year and obviously made a run in the playoffs last year. If their owner would actually start spending some money and maybe caring about the team, they would go quite far. And the Lions obviously are having their best run of success, I would argue, ever in the
Yeah.
history. It was running all the way back to like the 50s. Okay. So you're in the Stone Age too. So I think a good way to end is just to remember that, despite all the uncertainty and chaos in the world of sports and really in the world in general right now,
Oh yes.
the one thing we can do as Detroit sports fans is we can remember that all of our teams are good, and this is something we need to savor because we haven't really ever had this. So enjoy it. Enjoy your week. Enjoy the conclusion of your semester, the start of spring.
And if you're a Green Bay fan, don't enjoy.
Exactly. But everybody have a good evening. Enjoy.
Yes.
Enjoy your last couple of weeks as we go into finals, and then yeah.
And we'll go from there. So this is WPX 91.5 FM H2M Marquette. This is the Jack and Dumb Radio Show, and we'll see you guys next week.